Tonight, the scandal sending shockwaves through college football. The head coach of powerhouse Michigan fired and then jailed amid allegations of assault. Coach Sharon Moore in jail, awaiting charges right now as we get chilling audio alleging a man was attacking a woman at her home and had been stalking her for months. What we're learning about the inappropriate relationship he was fired over as his team now has to prepare for a bowl game without him. A massive house explosion caught on camera in California, sending debris flying, multiple people hurt, and the big question tonight, what set it off? The state of emergency out west. Heavy rains pounding Washington state, bringing catastrophic flooding. The race to save people trapped in rising water. Some rescued by helicopter as tens of thousands are told to evacuate. Healthcare showdown, two plans failing in the Senate today as millions brace for insurance premiums to skyrocket, even double if Congress doesn't act soon. Who is impacted? Our NBC News investigation, a surrogacy agency suddenly closing, families unable to access their money. Some surrogates are now pregnant, the parents scrambling to pay for their care. Astounding video of a skydiver jumping out of a plane when his parachute gets caught on the wing, his camera rolling as he saves his own life. And our farewell tribute to a beloved member of the NBC News family. Rahema Ellis has covered tragedies and triumphs. Our tribute as she takes on her next adventure. Nightly News starts right now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Yamas.
And good evening. We begin tonight with the stunning college football scandal. The University of Michigan, one of the biggest programs in the country, firing Sharon Moore as its head coach. And just hours later, he was put behind bars. Our team reporting this out as we come on the air. The university says he was fired for cause after finding he was engaged in a, quote, inappropriate relationship with a staff member. When we pressed police about the case, they referred to an alleged assault without directly naming Moore. And in a moment, we're going to play for you audio of police in real time describing a 911 call about a man attacking a woman inside of her home. Police have not connected the incident mentioned to Moore, but all of this is a shock to the university and the college sports world. Shaquille Brewster is in Ann Arbor, Michigan, with the latest.
Tonight, former University of Michigan football coach Sharon Moore still held inside this jail, detained by police after his stunning firing. And now there's new dispatch audio describing a 911 call from an Ann Arbor home on Wednesday.
Subject just called the caller, told her there's a male at the location and the house attacking her. The state's been stalking her for months.
Moore is not mentioned on the audio, which was recorded around the same time police say they responded to an alleged assault on Wednesday afternoon, taking a suspect into custody but offering no further details. Police have not said that incident and the one described on the dispatch audio are connected. Approximately 30 minutes later, the university's athletic director publicly announced Moore's firing for cause, writing an internal investigation found credible evidence that the coach engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. Moore has not responded to NBC News' requests for comment. The 39-year-old married father of three was named Michigan's head coach just 2 seasons ago after the team's national championship run.
We want to make sure that we're in the best position that we can compete on and off the field.
A tenure sometimes overshadowed by the fallout of a 2023 sign-stealing scandal that resulted in a 2-game suspension for Moore this season. The abrupt coaching change now rocking the campus of one of college football's most famous teams.
It just came out of nowhere, so it was a bit of a surprise.
I feel bad that it happened, but I also feel bad if the allegations are true.
All right, Shaq joins us now live from outside the county jail where Moore is being held tonight. And Shaq, we're expecting to see the former coach tomorrow in court?
That's right, Tom. He's expected to be arraigned as soon as tomorrow. Officials say prosecutors are reviewing charges, but none have been filed just yet. Meanwhile, the university is not commenting on this criminal investigation, but has named a new interim head coach that will lead the team at the Citrus Bowl later this month. Tom?
All right, Shaq Brewster leading us off tonight. Now to that breaking news out of Northern California. Half a dozen people are injured after a massive gas main explosion in broad daylight right in the middle of a busy neighborhood. NBC's Steve Patterson with that video tonight.
Tonight, terrifying moments captured on this doorbell cam. A monstrous explosion rocking a quiet Bay Area neighborhood this morning.
My neighbor's house exploded.
The force ripping through multiple structures, sparking a 3-alarm fire, damaging nearby homes, injuring 6 people, rushed to area hospitals. Video shows what appears to be a part of a roof falling on top of a person in a construction vehicle.
We have one patient with extensive burns.
Officials tonight saying 2 people believed to be residents are unaccounted for.
It's possible that they're at work or at school.
Fire officials say the blast was ultimately triggered after a work crew struck an underground gas line shortly after 7 this morning. Power company PG&E says that crew was not affiliated with them, but they immediately dispatched their own teams to the scene. 2 hours later, they were able to turn off the gas in the area, but the explosion still happened shortly after. Next-door neighbor Deborah Omatai says she felt lucky to escape the blast, debris falling on her home.
The whole roof fell in on us, on me in the bedroom.
Tonight, the root of what happened still under investigation. Steve Patterson, NBC News.
In the Pacific Northwest, thousands are forced to evacuate and millions more are under flood watches as a storm system drops a staggering amount of rain on the region. Our Camila Bernal is in the storm zone tonight where rescues are underway.
Parts of the Pacific Northwest underwater as major flood concerns threaten millions in the region. A powerful atmospheric river dumping as much as 16 inches of rain in parts of Washington state. Video showing these neighborhoods inundated by the rushing water. Submerged cars prompting road closures and rescues. The water almost as high as these street signs. In Falls City last night, this dramatic video showing first responders lifting drivers after getting caught in fast-moving water. And in nearby Ording, teams guiding residents out by boat.
We'll get you up on shore here.
What do you anticipate for the next couple of days?
It's going to be difficult when you're facing truly historic levels of rising floodwaters. You know, you're in uncharted territories.
The governor now urging residents to leave. Ray Bartow listened to the warnings.
Oh, it's split second. I've got one life.
The Skagit River, just 2 blocks from her home, approached the record of 42 feet.
This is the first time I've ever been concerned.
7 rivers in Washington already experiencing major flooding. The rush now on to keep the rising floodwaters away.
The power of the water is incredible. Yeah, you can't stop Mother Nature.
And Camila joins us live tonight. Camila, we can see that water right there behind you. How fast has it been rising?
It's steadily rising. This water here forced a road closure in the last 20 minutes. If you take a look here behind me, the water approaching the front porch of that house, it already flooded the garage. There's a road between that house and where I'm standing, so you see that yellow street sign there. And behind the trees is where that river is. Many of the locals here say they've never seen the levels this high. Tom?
All right, Camila Bernal in the storm zone once again. Bill Cairns is also here tonight. We'll get to that new Arctic blast set to hit the east in a second, but how much worse is the flooding going to get in the Pacific Northwest?
A lot of the rivers are cresting today. We have at least 2 rivers that are going to crest during the day. Tomorrow, the atmospheric river rainfall event is over with, and we're dry throughout the weekend until the next rainstorm comes in Monday and Tuesday. As far as the cold and the snow, quick blast of snow heading down through Iowa. Tonight, we're going to get a couple inches in areas of central Illinois, southern Indiana, Cincinnati, Louisville, Indianapolis. A lot of school delays and cancellations come tomorrow morning into areas of West Virginia. And then the coldest air of the season. The high temperature in Minneapolis is -1 on Saturday. They're going to play a football game in Chicago at 10 degrees on Sunday. And then we're also going to be watching another little snowstorm as we go from Saturday into Sunday. And this one could even bring some snow to I-95 in the big cities like New York.
Yeah, the extreme cold is here. All right, Bill, we thank you. On Capitol Hill today, the Senate failed to pass 2 different health care plans. And now premiums for many on Obamacare are expected to skyrocket. Ryan Nobles now on who will be hit the hardest.
Rebecca Davis is a cancer survivor who recently lost her job. She has almost no room for error when it comes to her finances or her health.
How do you plan your life not knowing how much it's going to cost just to take care of your health care needs?
That's a great point. And I think that there's a lot of stress that comes with receiving that bill in the mail.
Rebecca is one of 22 million Americans who benefit from premium subsidies through the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. Those subsidies are set to expire at the end of the year, doubling her premiums at a cost of close to $1,000 a month. But going without health insurance is simply not an option. She currently takes an expensive drug to keep her breast cancer at bay.
My particular cancer type would just have a very high risk of returning.
Lawmakers on Capitol Hill cannot agree on a path forward. Democrats want to extend the subsidies for 3 years.
Republicans have all but guaranteed that tens of millions of people will see their premiums double or triple or more.
Republicans believe the subsidies are too expensive and provide assistance to people who don't need it. They've offered up a plan that would give Obamacare recipients flexibility in which plans they choose and provide funding for individual health savings accounts to pay for health care needs out of pocket.
We're miles apart. They want policies with a $6,000 deductible, and we want to put thousands of dollars into an account.
But both plans failed today in the Senate.
The motion is not agreed to,
leaving people like Rebecca caught in the middle of a political fight.
So it is incredibly frustrating that our lawmakers haven't been able to come to terms and find a solution that works for everyone.
And Ryan, I know you're tracking two stories there on Capitol Hill. There was also a heated hearing on the Hill today involving Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem.
That's right, Tom. Secretary Noem was grilled by lawmakers on the Trump administration's mass deportation program and the type of people that are being targeted by ICE agents. At one point, Secretary Noem ended the hearing early, saying that she had a meeting at the White House, but that meeting had been canceled. Confusion that the White House chalked up to miscommunication. Tom?
Okay, Ryan Nobles with that new reporting tonight. In a Utah courtroom today, the suspect accused of assassinating conservative activist Charlie Kirk made his first in-person appearance. Tyler Robinson, you see him here, wore a tie as the judge weighed media access to the trial. Prosecutors charged him with aggravated murder and will seek the death penalty. He has not entered a plea. And we have stunning video tonight of a nightmare scenario for a skydiver in Australia who jumped out of the plane only to slam into its wing and get stuck there. His fight to survive all playing out on video. George Solis with the heart-racing moments.
The terrifying scare at 15,000 feet caught on camera. Watch, this skydiver's backup parachute inadvertently open as he's about to jump out of a plane, launching him backwards. His parachute cords wrapping around the plane's tail, his legs striking the plane.
The potential for this to have a very different outcome was very real.
The harrowing scene unfolding this past September in Queensland, Australia, as a group from a skydive club attempted a formation that was being filmed. You can see the skydiver's parachute handle snag on the plane's wing, deploying his chute. The skydiver knocks into the group's camera operator, sending him into a free fall. He's able to land on the ground safely.
How crucial was it for everyone to remain calm under pressure here?
Well, most definitely for the parachutist involved. There's a lot of options in front of you. Choosing the right ones is not always as easy as it sounds.
Investigators say the skydiver who was stuck managed to grab his hook knife and cut through 11 lines of his backup parachute in 50 seconds. Once free, the skydiver was able to pull the cord to his main parachute and get on the ground safely. Authorities also credit the pilot who declared a mayday call and successfully landed the plane.
It's great to release a report that has an outcome like this.
Incredibly, the skydiver only suffered minor injuries to his legs. The camera operator telling NBC News they were able to share a few hugs and drinks after. George Solis, NBC News.
Incredible he survived. All right, we're back in 60 seconds with our investigation into a surrogacy agency that suddenly shut down. Now families are desperate. Tens of thousands of dollars they've invested in limbo. And what happens to the surrogates now pregnant? We are back now with an investigation into a prominent surrogacy company which suddenly shut down. Now surrogates and intended parents around the country say they're feeling panicked and betrayed. Here's Liz Kreutz.
Tonight, just weeks away from their embryo transfer, Mariana Clavino says she and her husband can't reach the owner of the surrogacy agency. They gave $66,000.
This wasn't just money that was stolen. It was, it was the hope. It was the dream of building a family.
Clavino says she learned last week that Washington-based Suro Connections abruptly shut down.
What was that moment like? Panic-inducing. I felt like the walls were closing in. It felt like this can't be happening. This can't be happening.
The owner, Megan Hall Greenberg, sent this email to families on Friday. Due to recent financial and operational difficulties, the company is closing and ceasing all operations, adding the company does not have the funds to reimburse families. Surrogate Kama Stauffer from Ohio is almost 9 weeks pregnant and says the parents she's caring for may be out $50,000.
It seemed unreal. It seemed impossible that an agency could basically implode overnight with no notice.
NBC News has not been able to reach Hall Greenberg. Her employees say she's not responded to any calls or texts and deleted all her social media.
She has affected so many people's lives, including
Sarah Schaefer, who worked there for 6 years, says she was blindsided. She estimates the closure leaves some 150 surrogates and intended parents in limbo and unable to access their money, which she says could total as much as $5 million. Schaefer says in retrospect, there may have been red flags. Unlike many other surrogacy agencies that have families put their money to pay for surrogates' medical and travel needs into third-party escrow accounts, she says Surro Connections push clients to use their in-house escrow.
it was kind of like a one-stop shop, and to have it at all one place sounds good, but it doesn't necessarily always work out that way.
Mariana Clavino says Hall Greenberg used to send her messages of support. Now she's dealing with yet another heartbreak after years of infertility.
She knew that, which is what's so particularly hurtful about it.
And Liz, we're now learning the FBI is getting involved.
Yeah, Tom, that's right. We know the FBI has been in touch with employees of the company and impacted families. And also tonight, NBC News has obtained this surveillance video showing law enforcement on Wednesday arriving at the business where witnesses say there was an hours-long search. Tom.
All right, Liz Kreutz with that new reporting there on that story. When we return, what Michael Jordan said outside court after a bruising legal battle with NASCAR. Stay with us. We're back now with news just in. A federal grand jury declining to indict New York Attorney General Letitia James today. In what the Justice Department's third attempt to bring charges against her, President Trump has pressured the Justice Department to prosecute James over a case involving mortgage-related charges, which James has denied. Also tonight, NASCAR reaching a major settlement in an antitrust lawsuit brought by two of its race teams, including one co-owned by Michael Jordan. There he is speaking outside of court earlier today. Jordan was the lead plaintiff in the suit, accusing NASCAR of being a monopolistic bully. And check out this wild video of a police rescue in Tampa, Florida. You see that body cam video of officers rushing into a house. They run upstairs, and then those officers save the man who was dangling off the roof 3 stories high. Police say he slipped while blowing leaves off his roof and that he was brought down safely. All right, when we come back, our fond farewell to one of our most beloved correspondents and friends, the great Rahema Ellis. That's next. We are back now with our tribute to a beloved member of the NBC News family, Rahema Ellis, a correspondent many of you have watched over the years. She's reported around the world and taught us so much on her journey.
Throughout her career, Rahema Ellis covered so many stories. One of her beats and her passion, education. In New York, love was on display.
Can we see your card? About a Mother's Day when you get smothered by children.
In Philadelphia, 8-year-old Zion Harvey showed us what determination looks like. Zooming down the hospital hallway before becoming the first child to receive a double hand transplant, we saw him shortly after surgery and a year later.
Oh my goodness!
Zion learning to grab hold of his new world.
What you can do.
Before you quit and say, I give up, try everything first.
NBC's Rahema Ellis is in Goma again tonight.
There was hardship and heartache overseas.
What's happening to the refugees is devastating Rwandan families and robbing the children of their childhood. I can barely hold my position here because the wind is that strong.
Back home, there were lots of storms. Katrina was among the biggest.
You can see the mold on the wall there where the water line was.
All over the floor.
In New York, Rahema witnessed firsthand the horror of the terrorist attack on 9/11.
It's 11:45 in the morning, and there is a mass exodus from downtown New York City. You can take a look, and you can see hundreds of thousands of people leaving the area.
Tragedy or triumph, Rahema was always on the front lines. Like when she profiled Ron Clark Academy in Atlanta, a school making a difference.
A lot of people will see your video and they'll say, it's a dance school. What do you say?
that is totally untrue because here we work very hard, very, very, very hard.
Rahema's countless stories touched us all and inspired us along the way.
The legendary Rahema Ellis. Rahema, before you go, we have one more assignment for you. All those places, all those people, what did you learn?
One of the things that I've learned is that no matter where I go in the world, I find that there's more that binds us than divides us. We're all looking for the same thing, to have some happiness, some health, and some wealth. And that makes me feel that we're going to be okay because we're all shooting for the same thing.
And your reporting always gave us hope, so we thank you for that. On behalf of NBC News, on behalf of all of our viewers out there, Rahema, thank you for everything you've done.
It's been my pleasure.
All right. That's Nightly News for this Thursday. I'm Tom Llamas. We thank you so much for watching. Tonight and always, we're here for you. Good night.